They won't see it, they won't believe it, and they'll never admit it. But deep down, you already know. You feel something stirring inside you, a quiet conviction, a pulse of greatness that no one around you recognizes. And that's fine, because true greatness isn't born in the spotlight. It doesn't rise from applause or permission. It grows in silence. It takes root in the dark, in moments when no one's watching, and nothing around you gives you a reason to keep going. It grows when the world ignores you, doubts you, mocks you, and you still show up. You keep waking up early. You keep training, studying, creating, building. Not because someone is watching, but because something inside you refuses to be average. You choose to live as if you are already great, not because the world says you are, but because you've made a vow to never betray your potential. And if that vow means walking alone, so be it. The Stoics knew this path. They didn't care for fame or validation. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire yet wrote only to himself. Epictetus was born a slave yet taught kings how to think. Seneca faced death without fear, because he trained his mind to answer only to reason, not praise, not criticism, not doubt. So if the world doesn't believe in you, let it be. You are not made for the comfort of the crowd, but for the crucible of fire. You weren't born to be understood by those who fear discipline. Your task is not to convince them. It's to act like the greatest, even when they laugh, even when they leave, even when you vanish from their sight. Because the fire inside you doesn't ask for approval. It only asks one thing. Will you rise? Or will you dim yourself to fit their comfort? The choice is always yours. And if you choose the path of the Stoic, then walk like the greatest, especially when no one sees you coming. Greatness is not forged under lights or on stages. It begins in the dark. In places where no one claps for you, no one checks in, no one believes you'll make it. It begins in the silent battles, where your alarm sounds before the sun rises, and no one is watching to praise you for getting up. Where your hands tremble, your body aches, and yet you return to the routine with no reward in sight. Where you read in solitude, train without validation, and sacrifice comfort for something only you can see. The world teaches you to seek attention, to prove your worth, to wait for recognition. But the Stoic path rejects all of that. It teaches you to rise without applause, to walk without needing to be followed, to master yourself long before the world even learns your name. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." That means acting with honor when no one is watching. Being excellent when no one expects it. Training your mind like a warrior trains for war, even if no one ever gives you a trophy for it. The truth is, the greatest version of you won't be built in noise. It will be built in stillness, when doubt surrounds you and faith is your only fuel. That's when the real transformation begins. That's when you decide. Will you keep going when the path feels thankless? Will you act like the greatest even when no one is clapping? Or will you wait for permission to become who you already are? Because the arena is empty now. And that's exactly where champions are carved. You are not here to be seen, you are here to become. But the world has convinced you otherwise. That visibility equals value. But if you're not being praised, you're not progressing. That if no one admires you, you must be doing something wrong. But the Stoic sees through the illusion. He knows that power doesn't need an audience. The oak tree never announces its roots. The storm never waits for applause before it rises. True strength builds in silence, deep beneath the surface, unnoticed until it shakes everything. Every quiet step you take, every disciplined decision you uphold in solitude, becomes part of a structure no storm can touch. While others chase likes and visibility, you're becoming the kind of man whose presence speaks louder than performance. Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Let them misunderstand you. Let them call you cold, arrogant, obsessed. That's not your burden. Because in the shadows you are shaping something sacred, a will they can't break, a focus they can't shake. True strength doesn't introduce itself. It radiates. It doesn't beg to be seen. It changes the room without saying a word. The greatest men in history were not always visible, but they were always grounded. They didn't move for attention, they moved with purpose. So ask yourself honestly, would you still chase your goals if no one ever praised you? Would you still show up with discipline if no one noticed? Because when the answer becomes yes, you no longer need to be seen. You already know what you are, and soon, so will they. If you truly commit to this path, don't expect celebration, expect resistance, expect silence, expect to be laughed at, mocked, misunderstood. They'll call you arrogant for walking with your head high, delusional for believing in something they gave up on, naive for chasing a future they no longer believe is possible. Let them. Because behind every insult is a fear they'll never admit, a fear that you might actually become what they couldn't, that your consistency might expose their excuses, that your rise might reflect their resignation. Their mockery is not a reflection of your worth, it's a mirror of their own limits. The Stoics never defended their paths. They simply walked them. They lived in accordance with nature, with reason, with virtue. That means staying firm in who you are, even when your silence is mistaken for weakness, and your discipline mistaken for threat. Marcus Aurelius was betrayed by men he trusted, yet he never let it break his focus. He wrote, he led, he endured. Because greatness doesn't react. It holds, it centers, it waits. You don't rise by arguing with those who doubt you. You rise by becoming undeniable, day after day, rep after representative, step after lonely step, until the same people who mocked you have no choice but to watch you ascend. Some will vanish, some will gossip, some will try to break your rhythm. Let them. Their noise can't shake a man rooted in purpose. Their doubt can't dim a soul that's already burning. So let them laugh, let them whisper, let them leave. And while they do, keep rising, not to prove them wrong, but to fulfill the promise you made to yourself. There is a kind of power that doesn't make noise. It doesn't shout for attention. It doesn't ask to be admired. It simply exists. Quiet, focused, unshakable. That is the power of discipline. And it is the foundation of every Stoic life. Discipline is not suffering, it's sovereignty. It's the vow that says, I will not be ruled by urges. I will not be enslaved by comfort. I will walk the narrow road, even when the crowd mocks me from the sidelines. Seneca once wrote, wealth is the slave of a wise man and the master of a fool. The same is true of time, emotion, and desire. The disciplined man doesn't follow them. He commands them. He rises early when no one's watching. He prepares before anything is urgent. He says no not because he's weak, but because he's clear. In a world drowning in distraction, discipline is rebellion. When you choose to eat clean, train when you don't feel like it, read when others scroll, stay calm when others explode, you are speaking the ancient language of kings. You are becoming the type of man whose silence carries more weight than their noise. Silent discipline is not passivity, it is power under control. And when that control is guided by wisdom, it becomes unstoppable. So if you want to live like the greatest, don't just speak about values, embody them. Let it show in the way you carry yourself, the way you move through the world, the way you hold your ground even when no one applauds you. That's what makes you immortal. Not a legacy carved in stone, but a soul that mastered itself in silence. You don't become the greatest by being recognized. You become the greatest by acting like it before anyone even notices. That is the Stoic way. You don't wait for permission to take yourself seriously. You don't wait for applause to commit to discipline. You don't wait for signs to move. You act now, as if the greatness inside you was already proven, as if you had nothing left to prove, and everything left to become. That's what separates you from the world. They wait for clarity, you train for it. They wait for signs, you become the signal. The world tells you to wait. Wait for confidence, wait for your moment. Wait until others believe. But the Stoic doesn't wait, he sharpens, he prepares, he acts, even in an empty room, even when no one is listening. Because he knows that greatness is not a result, it's a responsibility. You train because you must, you show up because you gave your word. You persist because quitting is no longer part of your identity, and when the world finally looks your way, you won't need to speak, they will feel it, in your presence, in your calm, in your fire. You won't fake anything, you'll simply reveal what was there all along. So don't wait to be seen, be who you are in the dark, and let the light catch up later. Let your life become proof that you didn't need validation, only the courage to become what you already were. Most people will never understand what you're building. They won't see the early mornings, the quiet nights, the sacrifices that leave no trace. They won't notice the hours spent in silence, refining your character like steel in fire. But that is not your burden. You weren't born to be understood. You were born to be forged. Greatness is not noisy. It doesn't need validation. It walks with presence, not performance. It chooses restraint over reaction, purpose over comfort, mastery over recognition. And on this path, there will be moments when you feel invisible, moments when your effort feels useless, when doubt creeps in and no one comes to cheer you on. But the Stoics remind us, the man who masters himself is more powerful than one who conquers cities. And that kind of power is not inherited. It is earned. In silence. In repetition. In moments of discomfort where you choose growth instead of escape. So act like the greatest, not for attention, not for applause, but because your soul demands it. Because the fire inside you deserves fuel, not permission. And when the world finally sees you, if they ever do, let them wonder how you got here. Let them ask where you found this strength. You'll be too focused living the truth they never had the courage to pursue. This is your moment. Walk like the greatest. Think like the greatest. Act like the greatest. Even when the world doubts you. Especially then. And if this message stirred something inside you, don't keep it silent. Like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to join this path of discipline and clarity. Every step you take toward your best self begins with a single decision. Make it now, not tomorrow, not when they believe, but now.